Who are the remaining Ascians? Pastra, Helmera, Altima, and Dudelephon are the remaining 4 of the original 13 members of the Dark Convocation, all 4 of whom are sundered individuals. But who were and where are they now? Pastra filled the role of the Arbiter, conservator of order and the collective will, and setting aside the last time they were mentioned, which was in Elpis, something that is true of all 4 of the remaining Ascians, Pastra was last seen during the final of 2.0 in a male Hyr body. Helmera was the sower, cultivator of botanical and mycological creatures, and they were last seen, well, never, but presumably were a part of some of the Ascian Illuminati, no, not that Illuminati, meetings we see throughout A Realm Reborn. Altima was the composer, advocate of aesthetics and myriad arts, and was last seen during patch 2.3, when some Convocation members in black masks were holding court with Elidibus, though we don't know what hosts they were inhabiting at the time. And lastly, Dudelephon, the innovator, appraiser of architecture and patron of innovation. Last seen, or more accurately an item of theirs in their mask, was last seen on the hip of one Gaius Van Belsar. That does not mean that they are dead though, all it means is that Gaius slew their host body before they fled back to the Chrysalis. These 4, as far as we know, are still kicking around somewhere, unlike their brethren who had their soul shattered by ephemeral thighs, soul pierced by a scaly's gaze, soul eaten by a magical sword, yeeted into the ethereal sea off screen, got remembered, used his soul to power time travel, died, reincarnated, and became a gal pal, was a lady, then a dude, then a kaiju, then a stalker, then dead, and then fanfiction? And finally, dragged to hell by a simp. Now, it's possible that any one of them could have been destroyed off screen like Emeraloth, but assuming they weren't, one has to wonder what they've been up to recently. And with the tendency for Ascian machinations on other reflections, what they might have been up to in the past. Their purpose is now gone with the death of Zodiark on the source, and all the shards of his aether bound to each reflection's moons, having returned to their corresponding ethereal seas, with a notable exception in the 13th. This means that they can't return the Brethren to life. That said, they could still rejoin the remaining reflections to recreate the world unsundered, but do any of them even want that still? Besides their tempering from Zodiark, when it comes to more than a few unsundered Ascians, their loyalties are maybe a little muddled, what with lacking a large chunk of their memories and former identity of their unsundered selves. Assuming none of them fled into the inky expanse of the Sea of Stars, that leaves 2 categories of locations for them to be: the source or the reflections. 1 or 2 Ascians may be hiding out in Mare City of the Dragons, or sneaking under the cloud cover in Ilsabard, but of the reflections, we're left with the 4th, 8th, 9th, and 11th, and since all we can do is shrug and wonder when it comes to 4, 8, and 11, the last place of interest is the 9th. The rise of 11 energies, random finding of a miracle material by an Alexandrian Popito, and basically everything around the Storm Surge sure does smack of an Ascian ploy that got out of hand, to which there is plenty of precedence. There are tons of theories, and since there's so little we actually know about these individuals, both historically and in the days following the fall of Zodiark, it leaves me wondering,